A poor boy knocked on a billionaire's door, selling flowers. Inside, he saw a photo on the wall. It was his sister. The sister who disappeared 5 years ago. The sister everyone said was dead. But she was smiling in that photo like she'd never disappeared at all. When Karl asked the billionaire, "Why do you have my sister's photo in your mansion?" the man's face went completely white. And what happened next would change Karl's life forever. Hello friends. Welcome to our story. Before we start, please like this video and subscribe. Also, please let us know in the comments where you are watching from. New York, London, maybe South Africa, or Jamaica. We want to know. Karl was only 14 years old, but he carried the weight of a much older person. His bare feet hurt as he walked through the rich neighborhood with his heavy bag of flowers. His mother was sick. His father was gone. And Karl needed money for medicine and food. Every morning before school, Karl picked flowers from the garden behind his apartment building. Roses, daisies, sunflowers, anything that bloomed. He put them in a plastic bag and walked to the wealthy neighborhoods on the other side of town. House after house, gate after gate, he knocked and asked if anyone wanted fresh flowers. Most people ignored him. Some gave him coins that barely added up to anything. A few were kind and bought an entire bunch. Those were the days that kept Karl going. Those few kind people made him believe that the world had goodness in it. Karl's sister, Elena, was 21 years old. She had been beautiful, smart, and full of dreams. She wanted to be a teacher. She wanted to help children learn. But 5 years ago, she disappeared. One day she left for work and never came home. The police searched for weeks. They found nothing. After a year, Karl's mother stopped asking about her. After 2 years, she stopped saying Elena's name out loud. After 3 years, she stopped looking out the window, hoping to see her daughter coming up the street. Karl never stopped looking though. Sometimes he would see a young woman who looked like Elena from behind, and his heart would jump. But it was never her. It was never really her. Today, Karl had a fresh batch of flowers. Red roses that smelled like summer. He hoped to sell them quickly so he could get home to his mother. Karl had explored most of the rich neighborhood, but he had never seen this mansion before. It was hidden behind the tallest, most impressive gate he had ever seen. The gate was made of black iron with golden decorations. Behind it, he could see a house that looked like something from a magazine. Enormous, beautiful, with white stone walls and windows that seemed to stretch forever. The garden visible through the gate was like a paradise. Flowers bloomed everywhere. Red, pink, white, purple. Trees grew tall and strong. Water fountains sat in the middle of flower beds. Everything was perfect and organized, like someone had painted it that way. Karl stood frozen, staring at the gate. This was a mansion owned by someone very important. Someone very rich. Probably someone who would not want to buy flowers from a poor boy. But Karl had to try. He always had to try. He walked closer to the gate and found an intercom button. His finger was shaking as he pressed it. The speaker crackled with static. A deep voice came through. "Who is it?" the voice asked. The voice sounded tired, like the person had not slept well. Karl cleared his throat. "Hello, sir. My name is Karl. I'm selling fresh flowers. Beautiful flowers. Would you like to buy some?" There was a long silence. Karl thought maybe the man had heard him. Maybe he was already walking away. Karl was about to leave when the voice spoke again. "How much?" it asked. Karl's heart jumped. The man was interested. 10 roses for $5, sir. Or I can make a special arrangement for $15. The flowers are very fresh. I picked them this morning." Another long pause. Then, "Wait there." Karl stood by the gate, shifting the heavy bag from one hand to the other. His arms were tired. His feet were sore. But hope was building in his chest. If he could sell all his flowers today, his mother could have medicine. She could have real food. He heard footsteps coming closer. The gate buzzed and slowly swung open. The man who opened the gate was very tall and wore expensive clothes. A clean white shirt, perfectly ironed black pants, and shoes that shined like mirrors. His watch looked like it cost more than Karl's entire apartment building. But his eyes were different. They were sad. Very, very sad. The man looked at Karl like he was seeing something strange. Something that surprised him. "Come in," the man said quietly. Karl hesitated. His mother had always warned him never to go into strangers' houses. But this man did not look dangerous. He looked lonely. "It's okay," the man said gently. "I'll buy all your flowers. You can stand by the gate if you're scared." "All of them?" Karl's eyes went wide. He had 30 flowers in his bag. That was $15. That was huge. "Yes, all of them," the man said. He pulled out his wallet, but then he stopped. "When did you last eat?" he asked. Karl's stomach growled loudly. The man's face softened. "Come inside. Let me get you something to eat first," the man said. Karl was hungry. So hungry it hurt. His mother had given him only bread this morning because that was all they had. He nodded and followed the man through the gate. The garden was even more beautiful up close. Flowers everywhere. A smooth stone path led to the front door. Everything was perfect and empty. No sounds. No children playing. No life. The man opened the big front door and Karl stepped inside. He gasped. The mansion was enormous. The ceiling was so high Karl had to tilt his head all the way back to see it. Everything was shiny and clean. Marble floors. Crystal lights hanging from the ceiling. Soft furniture that nobody ever sat on. Big paintings in gold frames on the walls. But the house felt cold. Not like ice, but like loneliness. "Wait here," the man said, pointing to a chair by the entrance. Karl sat down very carefully, afraid he might make the expensive chair dirty with his worn clothes. His eyes moved around the room. Then Karl saw it. On a small wooden table near the staircase, there was a photograph in a beautiful gold frame. The frame was shiny and looked expensive. But the photograph inside made Karl's heart stop. The woman in the photo was younger than Karl remembered. She wore a pretty blue dress and was laughing at whoever was taking the picture. Her hair was long and dark, flowing over her shoulders. Her smile was bright and full of joy. But Karl knew that face. He saw it every day in his memories. It was Elena. It was his sister. Karl stood up slowly and walked closer. His hands were shaking. He picked up the frame with both hands. It was definitely Elena. But it could not be. Elena had disappeared 5 years ago. Elena was gone. Elena was dead. That's what Karl's mother finally believed. But here was Elena, smiling, alive, in a photograph inside this rich man's mansion. Karl heard footsteps behind him. He turned around quickly, the frame still in his hands. The man had returned carrying a tray with sandwiches, cookies, and juice. But when he saw what Karl was holding, he stopped completely. The tray shook in his hands. His face went completely white like all the blood had drained out of it. His eyes moved from the photograph to Karl's face, then back to the photograph again. "That's my sister," Karl said softly. His voice was barely a whisper. "Why do you have her picture in your house?" The man's mouth opened, but no words came out. He looked like someone had told him the most shocking news in the world. He carefully set the tray down on a nearby table, moving very slowly like he was afraid he might fall over. "Your sister?" His voice cracked when he spoke. "Yes," Karl said. "Her name is Elena. She disappeared 5 years ago. Why do you have her photo?" The man took a step backward, his hand reaching out to steady himself against the wall. "Elena," he repeated, and the way he said her name made Karl understand something. This man knew Elena. This man knew exactly who she was. "Where is she?" Karl demanded. His voice was no longer soft. It was loud and angry and desperate. "Where is my sister? What did you do with her?" The man sat down heavily in the nearest chair like his legs could not hold him up anymore. "I didn't do anything," he said quietly. "I mean, I did something, but not the bad thing you're thinking. My name is Victor. Victor Harrison. I knew your sister very well. I loved her very well. Karl's mind was spinning. His sister had never mentioned a man named Victor. His sister had talked about many things, but never about a rich man in a mansion. Loved? Karl asked. What do you mean loved? In the past tense. Victor closed his eyes. I need to tell you something, but you have to listen carefully. Can you do that? Karl nodded, but he was still holding the photograph like it was the only real thing in this moment. Your sister was the kindest person I ever met, Victor said. We were together for 3 years. I wanted to marry her. I had already bought a ring. But then my mother found out about her. Your mother? Karl said. What does your mother have to do with anything? My mother is a very powerful woman, Victor said. She did not approve of Elena. She said Elena was not good enough for me. She said Elena was too poor, too common, not suitable for the Harrison family. Karl felt anger burning inside him. So what? Karl said. What did your mother do? Victor opened his eyes and looked directly at Karl. She threatened Elena. She said if Elena did not disappear and never contact me again, my mother would have Elena arrested on false charges. She said she would make sure Elena went to prison for years. Karl sat down because his legs could not hold him up anymore. My mother gave Elena money. A lot of money. She told Elena to leave the city and never come back. But why? Karl asked. Why would Elena listen to her? Because my mother is not just powerful. She is scary, Victor said. When I found out what my mother had done, I searched for Elena everywhere. I hired investigators. I spent years looking for her. But she was gone. Is she dead? Karl whispered. No, Victor said. No, she's not dead. But she's gone, Karl. And I think your mother protected your sister by keeping her away from me. I think Elena believed that if she stayed away from me, I would be safe. Safe from my mother's plans. Karl left the mansion with $100 in his pocket. Victor had given him the money without Karl even asking. Victor had also given him his phone number and address. Victor had asked Karl to find Elena and tell her that he still loved her, that he had never stopped looking for her. Karl walked home in a daze. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors of orange and pink. But Karl did not see the colors. He could only see Elena's face in that photograph. His sister was alive. His sister was alive and she had never come home. When Karl reached the apartment, he found his mother sitting by the window like she always did. She was thin and tired. She coughed often. But her eyes were still kind. Mom, Karl said, I need to ask you something. Where is Elena really? His mother's face went very still. She did not move for a long time. Elena is gone, she said finally. That is the truth I have told you. Elena is gone. But she's not dead, is she? Karl said. I know she's not dead. Someone has her photograph. Someone rich who loved her. Please, Mom, tell me the truth. His mother looked at him for a long moment. Then she started crying. I did what I thought was best, she said. I protected her the only way I knew how. Tell me, Karl said. And she did. Karl's mother told him about the night Elena came home crying. About the powerful woman who had threatened Elena. About the money Elena had been given. About Elena's decision to disappear to protect the family from harm. Karl's mother had helped Elena fake her death to protect her from being found. If everyone thought Elena was dead, maybe Elena could finally be free and safe. But Elena had written letters. Secret letters that Karl's mother had hidden away. Letters that showed Elena was alive, but living in a different city, with a new name, trying to have a different life. Karl's mother gave him the letters. In them, Elena wrote, I am so sorry. I cannot come back. It is not safe. But I love you all every single day. I think about you every single moment. Karl spent the whole night reading Elena's letters. In them, she described her new life. She worked as a teacher, just like she had always wanted. She lived in a small apartment. She was happy but lonely. She missed her family, but she knew coming back would bring danger. The last letter was from 3 years ago. In it, Elena wrote, "I miss Victor. I love Victor. But I had to leave him to keep him safe. His mother is evil. If she knew Victor was still looking for me, she would hurt him. I had to make him stop loving me. I had to make him forget." But Victor had not forgotten. Victor was still looking. The next morning, Karl went back to school. He could not focus on his classes. He kept thinking about Elena. He kept thinking about Victor waiting in that big mansion, alone. At lunch, Karl made a decision. He texted Victor using the number Victor had given him. "I found information about Elena," Karl wrote. "Meet me after school." Victor wrote back immediately, "Where?" "I will be there." After school, Karl and Victor met in a small park. It was the first time they had spoken since Karl left the mansion the day before. "My sister is alive," Karl said. "She's living in another city. She changed her name. She's working as a teacher." Victor's face showed every emotion at once. "Is she happy?" Victor asked. "I think so," Karl said. "In her letters, she seemed happy. But she was also lonely. She missed you. But she thought leaving you was the only way to protect you." Victor closed his eyes and tears rolled down his cheeks. "I need to find her," he said. "I need to tell her that I never stopped loving her. I need to tell her that I don't care about my mother's threats anymore." "There's something else," Karl said. "My sister doesn't know I found this. My sister doesn't know anyone is looking for her anymore. She thinks everyone has forgotten about her." "Then we have to tell her," Victor said. "Together, we have to find her and tell her the truth." It took Karl and Victor 1 week to find Elena. They used the information from the letters, the investigators Victor hired, and the help of a kind police officer who understood the situation. Elena was living in a city 3 hours away. She was working at a school. She was living in a small apartment. She was alive and mostly happy, but she was also alone. Victor wanted to go to her immediately, but Karl said no. They needed to be careful. They needed to tell Elena the truth in the right way. So Karl came up with a plan. He would go to the school where Elena was teaching. He would pretend to be a new student. He would make Elena remember him. He would see if she was ready to hear the truth. Karl went to the school and registered. He joined Elena's class for English literature. And when Elena walked into the classroom, Karl saw his sister for the first time in 5 years. She looked different. She had short hair now. She looked older. But her eyes were the same. Her smile was the same. Elena did not recognize him at first. But as the days went by, she started to see something familiar in this new student. Something that made her stop and stare sometimes. Finally, one day after class, Elena asked Karl to stay behind. "Do I know you?" she asked. "You seem very familiar to me, but I cannot remember where from." "Yes," Karl said. "You know me. You have always known me. I am Karl. I am your brother." Elena's face went completely white. She held onto the desk for support. "That's not possible," she whispered. "You're too old. It's been so long." 5 years, Karl said. 5 years since you left. 5 years since Mom told everyone you were dead." Elena collapsed into a chair. "I had to go," she said. "I had to disappear. If I didn't, they would have been in danger. Victor's mother was too powerful. She had connections. She had money. She would have destroyed everything I loved." "But Victor never stopped looking," Karl said. "He never stopped loving you. He sent me to find you." Elena looked up at Karl with tears in her eyes. Is he alive?" she asked. "Yes," Karl said. "He's alive. And he's waiting for you." Elena did not believe Karl at first. She thought it was a trick. She thought someone was trying to hurt her. But Karl was patient. He showed Elena pictures. He showed her proof. He told her stories that only someone who really knew Elena could know. Slowly, Elena began to believe. "I can't see him," Elena said finally. "It's not safe. His mother. His mother's control is broken, Karl interrupted. Victor is a man now, not a boy. He doesn't care what his mother says anymore. It took another week for Elena to agree. Another week of Karl telling her stories about Victor. About how Victor had searched for her. About how Victor had kept the photograph in his mansion like a prayer. Finally, Elena said yes. Karl arranged for Elena and Victor to meet in a small restaurant. It was a quiet place, private. Not too fancy, but nice. When Elena walked into the restaurant, Victor was waiting. He stood up when he saw her. For a moment, neither of them could move or speak. Then Victor walked toward Elena and took her hand. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi," Elena replied. They sat down at a table by the window. And for 3 hours they talked. Elena told Victor about her 5 years. About her life as a teacher. About how she had tried to forget him, but could not. About how she had loved him every single day. Victor told Elena about his search. About the investigators. About keeping her photograph by the staircase. About the moment Karl walked through his gate selling flowers. A boy with the same face as the woman he loved. "I never wanted to leave you," Elena said. "I know," Victor said. "And I never stopped looking for you." Then Victor did something that made everyone in the restaurant look at them. He got down on one knee. "Elena," he said, "I bought this ring 10 years ago. I have been waiting all this time. Elena, will you marry me?" Elena was crying so hard she could barely speak. But she said yes. She said yes. But there was a problem. Victor's mother. When Catherine Harrison found out that Victor had found Elena and was planning to marry her, she was furious. She called Victor to her mansion and they had a big fight. "You cannot marry that girl," Catherine said. "I did it all for you. I got rid of her for you. Why are you bringing her back?" "You didn't do it for me," Victor said angrily. "You did it for yourself. You wanted to control my life. Well, I am done being controlled. If you marry her, I will cut you off completely," Catherine said. "You will have nothing. No money. No house. Nothing." "Fine," Victor said. "I don't need your money. I have my own money now. I have built my own business. I don't need anything from you." But then Catherine said something that shocked Victor. "She's not who you think she is," Catherine said. "That girl, Elena, she has been keeping a secret from you." "What secret?" Victor asked. Catherine smiled a cruel smile. "Elena has a daughter," Catherine said. "The child. A little girl who is 7 years old. Elena had a baby when she disappeared. And I am pretty sure that baby is yours." Victor felt like the ground had disappeared beneath him. A daughter? Elena had a daughter? Victor confronted Elena immediately. They sat in Victor's car and Victor asked the question that was burning in his heart. "Do you have a daughter?" he asked. Elena's face went pale. She nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "Her name is Sophie. She's 7 years old." "Is she mine?" Victor asked. Elena closed her eyes. "Yes. She's yours. I had her 3 months after I left. I never told you because I was afraid. I was afraid that if you knew, you would come looking for me. I was afraid that your mother would hurt us." Victor did not know what to feel. He had a daughter? A 7-year-old daughter who he had never met? "Where is she?" he asked. "She's with my mother," Elena said. "In the same city where we've been living. I couldn't bring her here. I was too afraid. But Karl knew about her. He helped me keep the secret because I asked him to." So that was why Karl had been so careful. That was why Karl had made sure Elena was ready before revealing the truth. Victor sat in the car for a long time, not speaking. "I want to meet her," he said finally. "Are you angry with me?" Elena asked. "No," Victor said. "No, I am not angry. I am shocked. I am surprised. But I am not angry. I understand why you did it. But Elena, I want to meet my daughter. I want to know her. I want to be her father." Elena reached over and took Victor's hand. "Okay," she said. "Then let's go get her." Sophie was a beautiful child with her mother's dark eyes and her father's strong face. She was shy at first, hiding behind Elena's leg when Victor entered the small apartment. But Karl was there, and Sophie knew Karl. Karl sat down on the floor and played with Sophie while Victor watched from across the room. "Come meet someone," Karl said to Sophie gently. "This is your father. His name is Victor." Sophie looked at Victor with serious eyes. "Are you really my dad?" Sophie asked. Victor knelt down so he was at eye level with Sophie. "Yes," he said. "I am really your dad. I didn't know about you until today, but I love you already. I love you so much." Sophie studied Victor's face. Then she walked over to him and touched his face with her small hand. "You look like me," she said. "I do look like you," Victor said. "That's because you're my daughter. That's because we are family." Sophie smiled and climbed into Victor's lap. Victor held her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Because she was. That night, Victor made a decision. He was going to fight his mother. He was going to fight for Elena and Sophie. He was going to build a real family. He told Catherine that Elena and Sophie would be moving into his mansion. He told Catherine that he was going to marry Elena. He told Catherine that if she could not accept this, she was no longer welcome in his life. Catherine did not like this. But she also did not want to lose her son completely. So she accepted, though not happily. 3 months later, Elena and Victor were married in the mansion's garden. It was a beautiful ceremony with flowers everywhere. Sophie was the flower girl, and she threw rose petals with great joy and pride. Karl stood with Victor as his best man. And when Victor and Elena exchanged their vows, there was not a dry eye in the garden. "I searched for you for 10 years, Victor said, holding Elena's hands. "And I would have searched for 100 years more. I love you more than anything in this world." "I never stopped loving you," Elena replied. "Every single day I loved you. I'm sorry I made you wait so long." "No more waiting," Victor said. "Now we are together. Now we are a family. Now everything begins." After the wedding, Victor did something special. He brought Karl into his office and showed him a piece of paper. "I have created a trust for your mother," Victor said. "For you. Money for her medicine. Money for your education. Money for your future. You don't have to sell flowers anymore, Karl. You can go to school and be whatever you want to be." Karl started crying. "I don't know what to say," he said. "Say you'll be Sophie's uncle," Victor said. "Say you'll be part of our family." "Yes," Karl said. "Yes, I will." The months that followed were months of healing for everyone. Elena's mother met Victor and learned the truth about what had happened 10 years ago. When she learned that Victor had never stopped searching for Elena, when she saw how much Victor loved Elena and Sophie, she forgave the past and welcomed Victor into the family. Karl finished high school with top grades. He went to university to study teaching, like Elena. He wanted to help poor children like he had been. Sophie grew up in the mansion with love and laughter. She knew the story of how her parents had found each other again. She knew the story of Karl selling flowers at the gate. And she promised herself that she would always help people, just like her family had helped each other. Catherine Harrison, Victor's mother, changed slowly. She was not warm or kind like Elena, but she tried. She learned that control was not love. She learned that sometimes letting go was the greatest gift. She became a grandmother to Sophie, and that changed her in ways she never expected. One day, 5 years after the wedding, Victor brought Karl back to the gate where Karl had first arrived selling flowers. "Do you remember that day?" Victor asked. "I will never forget that day," Karl said. "That was the day my life changed." "That was the day my life changed too," Victor said. "You came to my gate as a poor boy selling flowers. But you brought me back my greatest love. You brought me my daughter. You brought me my family." They stood at the gate together, looking at the mansion. Inside, they could hear Elena and Sophie laughing. They could hear the sounds of a real family, a real home. Years later, When Sophie was grown, she brought her own children to Victor and Elena's mansion. And when the children asked how their grandparents had met, Elena showed them the photograph. The photograph of a young woman in a blue dress, laughing, alive, full of joy. The photograph that had started everything. "That's me," Elena said to her children. "When I was young and in love." "Grandpa kept this photo all this time?" the children asked in amazement. "Yes," Victor said, "because real love never gives up. No matter how long you have to wait, no matter how far apart you are, real love always finds a way home." He took Elena's hand and smiled at her the way he had smiled at her on the day they met, all those years ago. "Your Uncle Karl came to my gate selling flowers," Victor told the children. "He asked me why I had his sister's photograph. That question changed everything. That one question led me to find the person I had been searching for. That one question brought our family together." "So it was magic?" the children asked. "No," Elena said. "It wasn't magic. It was love. Love is stronger than any magic. Love brings people home." And in the mansion that had once been cold and empty, there was now warmth and laughter and family. The photograph still sat on the table by the staircase, a reminder of how love waits, how love searches, how love never gives up. Because when love is real, it always finds its way home. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed creating it. Please, like, share, and comment on the lessons you've learned. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments below.